Well, hello everyone. This is Steve Kemp with the People, Not Titles podcast, and I am really thrilled today to have two really great guys. We have Michael Altheimer and Desmond Clark, and they're teaming up as just a power duo that are pursuing real estate development in Chicago. Michael's been a real estate developer for how many years, Michael?
This will be the 19th year.
19th year.
19th, 20th.
And so how long has it been since you guys have teamed up together for this project?
So Desmond and I were introduced by a colleague. I want to say almost 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
two
about
and a half, 3 years. Yeah.
And so Des was originally doing some assurance work for us,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just started talking and just I believe in synergy and what else you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
This and that. And then I said, this is what I'm doing here in Chicago. And I kept saying, hey, this is what I got going on, this and that. And then he came in town and was like, well, all right, I can see this, I can dig my teeth in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had some other projects that were harvesting, and I said, there's something that I think that Chicago needs, and there's a neighborhood that is a sweetheart neighborhood. It's a darling of a community. I'm looking to really turn this thing around. I don't want to just do one-off deals here. This is an opportunity to really change the entire landscape of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we started pitching some ideas in Woodlawn, so the Chicago South Side.
Mm-hmm.
And then we settled with the idea of Woodlawn 100 for the first phase.
Mm-hmm.
We built the deck, and we started pitching, and then we said, all right, well, let's pitch differently. And we just went out on our own, started pitching our own institutional investors, our own investors, and going after deals.
Mm-hmm. And Woodlawn 100. So before we get into Woodlawn 100, I want to state the obvious that we have Chicago Bear great Desmond Clark here. And so one thing Chicago needs is a tight end like you.
No, they need a quarterback, and I think we have that guy.
Okay,
first
here we
of all.
go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
Desmond and I have been friends for a couple of years. I think right before COVID hit, we started building our relationship, and just we're on each other's radar. And Desmond is a retired football player. He's not playing anymore, but he is a speaker and a coach.
Yes.
And Desmond, so talk about maybe just that journey of transitioning from football to where you're at today and really building into people's lives.
Right. So I've been blessed to play for a lot of great leaders throughout you go back to Little League, to middle school, to high school, college, and all the way up through the NFL. I had a chance to sit with some Michigan State national champions 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they were talking about Coach Izzo and some of the other coaches. And I was just comparing all of my coaches to the other people's coaches. And that night, I just realized how blessed I was to play with some great coaches and great leaders. And through that process, I learned so much. Like, those men helped to build who you see today, helped to mold me into who I am today with a lot of the principles that they have. And I've taken those lessons and the things that I've learned just in life in general, and through a lot of these coaches that are really more leaders than just coaches. And I put them together. Mm-hmm. And that's what I use, and I pull from a lot of that and my own life experiences to be an effective speaker and to be an effective coach, where it's all about performance. It's all about what are you doing, and are you moving towards your goal that you stated for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I love doing that because I feel like not that I'm obligated, but I owe it to all of those men and women who helped me get here,
Built into you.
who coached me, who spoke to me, who inspired me, for me to be at my best. Mm-hmm. Hey, let me go and give that back, because that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we're here today. We're trying to help each other be the best that we can in our respective lanes, and that's what I want to do for professionals out here in the world, using those experiences to help them get to that next level and just win.
Mm-hmm. Des, so I read your book, it came out last year, right?
Yep.
And what's the name of the book?
Principles of Winning.
Principles of Winning.
Yes.
And I got to tell you that you are one of the most positive human beings I've ever met. Really, you really are. You're so encouraging. You are the make lemons out of lemonade or make lemonade out of lemons guy. And what really, I lost my father 3 years ago, and I had I had a great relationship with my dad. There was disappointments. There was this. There was that. But your father's still with
here,
us.
still kicking.
And just the way that you have taken that relationship from what most people would see as irreconcilable to, just deep, has a lot of depth right now. Talk a little bit about that.
Right. So I credit my mom with most of that.
Okay.
Because she never soured that relationship, and she had every opportunity, she had every right.
Throw him
and
under the bus.
She would have been justified to do it, right? Because my father didn't treat my mom well, from the time that I was able to see it. But she never degraded him. She always kept him in his place as being our father, and keeping that stature. So I never looked at my dad in a way how you see in some relationships when the couples divorce or break up, they're at each other's throats and they're degrading each other. So that wasn't there. So that's the start of it. But just seeing what my father went through and going through that stuff with him, you only get one dad, right? You only get one father. And I always wanted to spend that time, and I never really got to spend that time. You see other kids, they're playing football, they got their dads there, the dads are at the game and things like that. I didn't have that opportunity.
Your dad wasn't at your games.
My dad came to my last high school football game,
Wow.
and that's when he finally got clean.
Wow.
That was the only game that he came to as a kid, and then from there, he came to plenty of games after that. But I always wanted more of that, and I believe that's the reason, through all the drugs and everything else that went on in his life and mine, that I was able to kind of keep that. Hey, I just want my dad to be a part of my life. And it doesn't matter what he put us through, what he put me through, all of the crazy stuff that I seen, trying to chase him down through drug houses and lighting his crack pipe and him being shot 3 times and all that crap. It really didn't matter. I just wanted to have a dad as part of my life. So I think that was the fuel to keep.
You begin with the end in mind. I want a dad.
Yeah,
and he's
exactly.
my dad.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. And although you have coaches, you have other men that come. My mom got remarried. She dated other men at the time, and all of that was good. But no one can replace
Your father.
your father.
That's right.
Yeah, people can step in and they can fill a gap, but they can't replace.
That's right.
So regardless of the kind of parent you have, our choice is we can be a good son, right? I mean, that's one choice we can make, independent of what a good parent looks like. Is you can make a choice to be a good son, and you were a good son,
Right.
Desmond. You really were.
And the word that you use there is choice. I mean, that's what we all have, right?
We have a choice.
We have a choice.
Yeah.
And when you say that I'm a positive person, the thing that I always go back to, regardless of what the situation is I have a choice on how I want to deal with this particular circumstance, because it's just a circumstance. And then however we color it with our own mind determines how we're gonna move forward with it. And that's a choice that we all have. So when things are not going your way, or they're going great, or whatever the circumstances is, we have a choice on how we want to look at it and therefore move forward with it.
That's right.
So Des, you went to Wake Forest.
Went to Wake Forest.
So when you were at Wake Forest, when did you think, I think I can be an NFL player?
Oh man, it was a systematic process. It was after my junior year.
Okay.
I led the ACC in catches that year in
Really?
72. Yeah. I beat out some guys who I was competing with at Florida State, Peter Ward. Mainly because he beat me in high school for the state championship basketball 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And so he was my nemesis, even though he doesn't know it. But so I led the ACC with 72 catches that year. And I petitioned the NFL to see what my draft status would be if I were to leave my junior year. I had no intentions on going, I just wanted to see. And at that point, they said if I was to leave my junior year, I would be drafted anywhere from the 5th round to be an NFL free agent, rookie free agent. And it was only at that point that I started thinking,
You can do this.
man, maybe I have a future in the NFL. Because in high school, I wasn't the guy that was thinking, man, I'm doing this so I can get to the NFL. I was doing that so I can get to college.
Right.
And then once I got to college, it was like, all right, I like playing football, so I just want to play football, you know,
Right.
and
As
continue
long as you
and,
can.
and continue to pay for college. And it wasn't until after that junior year that I really started thinking, maybe there's a chance. Yeah.
Okay. And then you went out. You didn't go out your junior year though.
No,
Okay. So you went out your senior year.
went out after my senior year.
And
Yeah.
you didn't get drafted by the Bears.
What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? No, you know, most teams didn't want a slow, weak, short tight end that never had played the position anymore. I mean, ever in life, right? But you know, there are some people out there that can see past the limitations, right? And that was Mike Shanahan and his staff.
Really?
You know, I ran
You
a
got drafted by Denver.
Got drafted by Denver. I ran a 4.88 40. I lifted 225 12 times. People in high school can do that.
Yeah.
I did that at a professional NFL combine.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they didn't even give me 6'3". I was 6'2" and 7/8. So, and
That was
never had,
negotiation.
yeah, and never had played the
They
position
call them.
before.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Mike Shanahan and his staff was thinking. They had just come off of 2 championships, right?
Okay.
3 tight ends. They had 3 tight ends coming back. One was a Hall of Famer, and the other 2 eventually made Pro Bowls. One with another team, and one with the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
Wow.
Why do they need a tight end?
Right.
But they gave me a shot. They kept 4 tight ends that year, and as
So you went through a whole NFL season on the sidelines, basically, or did you?
no, Shannon Sharp got hurt that year, right?
Ooh.
He got
Yeah.
hurt that year, so now I'm playing early in my career, which I didn't think I was going to make the team, but now I'm actually playing. And it was mostly special teams. But yeah, my first year I was out there and I was being productive and helping the team.
So you got to watch Shannon Sharp play. Was there anything that you picked up from him? Was he just a natural, or was there something about his work ethic, leadership?
His work
Mindset.
ethic is beyond belief. And everybody, I mean, if you know Shannon Sharp and you see Shannon Sharp on TV, everybody know he has a gift of gab. And he used that to be a really effective locker room voice and leader. Like, he was one of those guys that people look to set the tone. And he did it. I only got to see it through training camp and through the first 4 games of the season. But he was that guy. The one thing that I learned from Shannon Sharp that helped me throughout my 12-year career, well, 2 things. First is a blocking technique where, you know, Shannon Sharp's a small guy, and I was a small guy blocking bigger men. So trying to sit there and tussle with these guys, I better put that down before I spill coffee on myself. Trying to tussle with these guys, I wasn't going to win that battle. So Shannon Sharp taught me this hook technique on the backside. So when you're trying to cut people off, you throw your hook, get the arm right here, kind of pull down on it. They stop their feet for just a single second.
Trying to break free.
That creates enough space in the cut for the cutback line.
Right. Right.
And you know, Denver Broncos, they were known for, hey, I'm gonna press it and then I'm gonna bend it back, and that was it. And then the other thing and I did that my entire career. The other thing that I learned, it was in the preseason. You know, I'm trying to make the team. I'm catching passes, and I'm getting tackled, and I'm struggling, trying to get that extra yard. He said, "Listen here. When you catch the ball, and they got you, learn when the journey's over. Get down
That's a
on the
life lesson right there.
Get down
That's a
on
life
the ground and
lesson.
stop taking all those hits. So that's probably one
Prolong
of
your career.
yeah, exactly. That's probably one of the reasons that I at one point had the most consecutive starts along with Tony Gonzalez, I believe,
Wow.
for tight ends.
Wow.
I went 69 straight games starting.
And that's not a cupcake position right there.
No, no.
You're always blocking someone bigger than you.
Well, because they want you to be something that you can't be.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that as a tight end, they want you to be a receiver, but I'm too big to be a receiver.
Right.
And then they want you to be an offensive lineman, but I'm too small to be an offensive lineman.
Right. Right.
But doing both.
Yeah.
We're
good
doing
luck.
both. Yeah, and then sometimes they want you to be a fullback,
Yeah.
but I'm not short and compact enough to be a fullback. My neck is too long. So it's always it's a no-win situation when playing tight end. You're always really probably going, except when you get matched up with certain linebackers, you're probably going up against somebody that's faster or bigger than you are. In a lot of cases, besides when you do get that one-on-one matchup with a linebacker, because a lot of times we're going against safeties. But yeah, so
Des, what an attitude reminder that you could have joined the Denver Broncos and said, "Oh man, I'm behind a future Hall of Famer." Wish you maybe didn't know it then, maybe you did.
I did.
Or you could say, "Wow, I'm this close to a future Hall of Famer. I might learn a trick or two that could prolong my career for another, few years."
So it was the first.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, I'm never gonna make this team. Because 2-time world champions, right?
Yeah.
But
And did he win one with Baltimore as well?
He won one with Baltimore and
Okay.
beat us to get there in 2001.
Okay.
But here's the thing, for whoever's listening to this, the way I got past that was this. I was told to ask myself, how good do I want to be? I'm not worried about Shannon Sharp. I'm not worried about Dwayne Carswell. I'm not worried about anybody else. Just like you're not worried about what the other developers are doing. You're not worried about what the other title companies are doing. You got to focus on what you're doing, right?
That's right.
He said, how good do you want to be? And then he said, go back to your room and ask yourself the tough question. How good are you? How good you want to be? How good are you? He said, every single day, what I want you to do is come out here with one focus on what you can do to get better. And that's your focus for that practice. And that right there kind of flipped my mind from outside in, because I was looking outside, and then once I started looking inside, that's when everything started to happen. And the lesson to that is you're going to be as good as you can be, right? And if you are as good as you can be, you're giving yourself the best chance to win. And that's all you can do, right?
Amen.
And there's nothing more. So
Yeah.
that's what it really became.
That's awesome. And there's only one you.
There's
And
only
so if
one.
you're the best you, that is the most unique brand in the market.
That's it. Can't nobody be Steve. Can't nobody be Mike. Well,
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of Steves and Mikes,
Right.
but
Yeah.
there's not this Steve and there's not this Mike right here.
Yeah. All right, Des, and some people may not know, but that Des, you have the most receptions and most yards of a Bear in the Super Bowl. Is that right? Tight end for a tight end.
I know for 2006 Super Bowl 41 was it?
Okay.
Yeah, I led the
Oh,
team
and you're number 2 with
All time. Yeah.
with the Bears.
with the Bears behind, of course, another
Iron
Hall of
Mike.
Famer. These Hall of Famers keep blocking my way. You know what I'm saying? Well, I always gotta go where a Hall of Famer has all of the records. So I'm number 2, catches, receptions, touchdowns. Behind Mike Dicker. I know I retired number 2. I think I'm still number 2, but in my mind, I'm always stay number 2, and I'm not gonna go check the records.
don't give it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. Well, it's fun to talk because I'm such a Bears fan. It's fun to talk, and we'll get back to that. But Michael, I was really impressed when I first met you, just virtually, just about your story. And so maybe talk about how you got into real estate, because there's, our listener audience is primarily real estate agents, investors, salespeople that are looking for an edge, entrepreneurs that face the same challenges that you've been facing over the course of your career. So talk just a little bit about how did you get started and what interested you in real estate?
So when I was first got into DePaul, the idea was, my education would be taken care of. Come from very middle of the road, middle income.
Born in Chicago?
South suburbs of
Okay.
Chicago.
Fantastic.
So when I got there, I got in, good grades, good everything, and it was like, all right, well, here's the bill. And the bill.
Yeah, right.
And it was all right. Well, that's the bill. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when it was like, all right.
Now what?
I looked at everything from a hot dog cart to restaurants, and then looked at real estate, only because in my neighborhood, I used to get my hair cut at a barbershop in the neighboring town. And then next door to the barbershop, there was a guy that had a dry erase board, maybe twice the size of that photo there, and it had houses and addresses. Houses, addresses, price, construction, everything. So it was maybe 80 houses. So I was shy, you know, I'm an introvert.
How old are you at this time?
So when that bill came, this is my freshman year. So I was 18, about to be 19.
So you didn't think I'm going to get a job. You thought
I did.
I'm going to do business.
No, I did, but
Yeah.
I've always had a job.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just do the math.
Yeah. Yeah. Paycheck, bill, you know, you'd be 100, you'd be Rip Van Winkle.
Right,
I'm in the
you know?
red.
Right. So I mean, so even before that, you know, I was a busboy, and that was one of the best experiences of my life. I'm still friends with the owners of that restaurant to this day.
Wow.
You know, I did a whole TED talk about it. I mean, I would send other busboys home so I can do the whole restaurant. Now, I was the type of guy, I would have, you know, we were making $100 a day then, because I was good with I figured out the game. I was good with the host. I was good with the waitresses, and
Keep the people flowing.
keep it going,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah,
it going,
yeah, yeah.
keep
That's
it
right.
going. But so when I got to college, I'm thinking, you know, the mantra is go to college, get an education.
Yep.
And you know, I thought I did my job, and it's like, all right, well, and no fault to my parents or whatever.
Right.
It's, you know, some folks don't believe in that,
Yeah.
and it's fine.
Yeah.
But my mentality, and you know, to this day, I feel that education is a great springboard to wealth creation, relationships, people,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, so I looked at all these businesses, right, and it's like, I'm not gonna. I know I had some money on me, but I'm not gonna buy a hot dog stand. I seriously looked at a hot dog stand. I looked at small like restaurants, like taco restaurants, something small. I was like, I'm not doing that either. And then you know the gentleman, I seen his board. I was like, okay, so I don't have.
So this is the board of all of his listings.
So he owned all those houses.
Oh, that's different.
That's different.
Yeah,
that's different.
So
right?
that's his assets.
Yeah,
asset
he
board.
owned all of them.
Wow.
And then
What a vision.
And then you know, my undergrad is finance, and I'm just asking him, let's get past some of the noise.
Yeah.
What $1 gets what? Is it 20 cents? That's 20% return.
Yeah.
30 cents, 40 cents. He was like $1 gets me 50 cents. One gives me back $1.50. I'm like, okay, all right, great. So how do you do it? So they were using all these lenders and you know hard money, and they didn't. To this day, a lot of these guys don't really know how to underwrite a deal. So on paper, it looks like one thing, but it's less than 50 cents. So I kind of created a relationship where I said, all right, let me dig into this to see how much actually you're making. And he was like, cool. So he was like, you know, we started auditing and cutting stuff out. And then he started letting me walk on job sites. So I started walking on his job sites, but then also walking on other people's job sites, just straight cold calling. You know, I'll see the sign developed by such and such, cold calling. Hi, my name is Mike. I'm a DePaul undergrad, this and that. I would like to learn more about the
Do
business.
some research. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one guy outside of this other guy was like, come to the site. They were doing new condos in East Woodlawn, and he taught his daughters the business, and he had all his own trades. So I was, you think to yourself, oh, I'm a college student. I'm too good to sweep garbage and all that. He was like, sweep the garbage up. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. but what it did was I got to go shoulder to shoulder with all the trades.
Yes.
So then you learn how much these guys need a day to do work.
Yes.
So at the time, electricians were, $135, $150 a day, and you can start doing the math. So once you know the construction, you can back into the deal, right?
Yep.
So if I know my construction number, I just plug in an acquisition number, cost of money, and then your title fees and all that stuff, and I know what the return is. All right, so then I, got semi-comfortable with, dealing with older folks and trades, and started to get out of my shell a little bit.
Having conversations, asking questions,
Yeah,
learning.
Yeah, asking questions and just getting used to no.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I started expecting no.
Yeah.
I would just ask and I would start expecting no.
Every now and then you'd squeak in.
It was like, oh wow. So
That's great.
So then I got a map, right? And I would start looking at like tertiary neighborhoods, like neighborhoods next to development. And Englewood at the time, and this is like the second resurgence of Englewood now, right now in history. At the time, many folks were retiring to places like Glenwood, Park Forest, Tinley Park, South Suburbs, or everywhere else, buying a larger dream suburban home and this and that. But they had the city house with a mortgage that they can't get off their credit because it needs work. They don't have they don't have the money or don't want to put the money in the house to sell it because that's not the expertise. And they for sure don't want to be a landlord because they may have worked for the last 50 years and they just want to ride out in the sunset.
Yeah.
So I would be the one driving down every single block, writing down addresses, right? And then this was before, like on the
Do
computer.
not call or whatever. Yeah.
No, not on the.
Yeah.
But that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right? So like now you can look up title.
Yep.
On the computer.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. So I
Yeah.
would go down to the basement at the county building, and then I kept going. Then I started meeting title people that go down there. So I stopped having to go down, just pay a couple bucks to the guy
Yeah.
who needed the title.
Yeah.
So I know who the owner is, what the taxes are, they fed liens, so on and so forth. So I did that. Oh man, it took like 2 or 3 dozen like attempts and tries, and I got one. I got one where the guy owed like $65,000 or $70,000.
So how old are you now? When you
Like 19 and a half, 20.
Okay.
It took
So
so
you're
this is
still-
like
this
2
is-
years.
okay, this is 2
to
years.
figure it out.
Uh-huh.
It took a lot of crying, a lot of being mad at the world.
Yep.
I did this, I've never done this, all that.
They did that to me.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that, went through all that,
Uh-huh,
right? And then finally it was like,
So you were determined, though. I'm going to buy one of these properties.
yeah,
Or I'm going to try to make a deal. I'm going to try to do a deal.
Yeah, it was, I wanted to, I seen something different, right? While I was, again, DePaul for me was a turning point, because, I was on, Sheffield and those streets over there, and I used to just walk. Right, because it's just so stressed out. I would just walk, and then you look at the buildings. It's like it's one mailbox, but it's just like 10,000 square feet. It's one mailbox.
Yeah. Who owns it? What do
Right,
they do?
right.
Yeah.
So how do I get from this to that?
Yeah.
Or somewhere in between?
Yeah.
And because again, the basketball players were going to leave here
Yeah.
and make $10 million.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm
gonna
supposed to
leave
leave
here
here
and
make
be-
50
Yeah.
gross,
Right. Then what?
right? So I mean, how do I get to? And there's nothing wrong with all that.
No,
That's
I
the
agree
one.
with it.
And it's not.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what you hear me saying, it's not all about the money. I wanted to affect some change and opportunity,
Yeah.
just not myself,
Yeah.
but for other people.
Yeah.
You
You
cannot
wanted
do
more
that.
than a job.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
nothing wrong with a
there's
job, but
nothing
you
wrong
wanted
with
more
that.
than a
There's
job.
nothing wrong with it, but
Yeah.
it's very difficult to affect some change if you can't affect change.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So anyway, so at this time I was reading books like How to Make Friends and Influence People, and then
That's my
reading-
favorite book right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
it's
cover to
that's like a
cover.
I've
starter.
started it. I've never finished it. I gotta go back. I gotta go back
cover
and
to
do that.
cover,
Yeah.
cover to cover, and,
Yeah.
and just and
You
I
know,
know
the first time, by the way, I read that, I was so encouraged by, because I would, so I was young person just like you, college wasn't my bag. I don't know if you finished college, but
Oh, yeah, I
okay, you did.
finished.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
finished,
for
yes.
me, but when I read that book, I thought, wow, you can actually treat people well and make money. Like everyone who's making money, the misnomer for those who don't have money is everyone's cheating everybody who has money.
Right.
No.
right, or
You know,
they're
and-
bad people.
Yeah.
No, it's
exactly.
so going back, and I'm sorry for
Yeah, it's all
it's
good.
just-
It's
so-
all good.
So, I started to, because I started cold calling
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get comfortable with the phone and talking to people, writing scripts,
Mm-hmm.
so that when I'm calling these homeowners, I can get to it without, make sure the message is very clear. And I got one guy, the house was 65, 70, which at the time was what it should be, right? But it was more expensive than what the rehabbers could pay because of the LTV with the bank, right? So they would have to come out a additional down payment to do the house, which made it silly to do, right? So that's where my silliness came in. So I figured out, okay, seller contract, give me, let's sign up for the house, 65,000. I give you 5 over when we're done. If I mess up, it's in a better condition than it was before I started, right? And give me 90 days with a possible 30-day extension. And I did my first one, and I essentially doubled my capital because I had the construction money, but I doubled my capital, and I was like, all right.
So you bought it for 65.
Yeah, I bought it for seller contract for 65.
Right, for 65.
So he wrote me paper.
Yep.
But I brought the construction.
Okay.
And then my mentor earlier that I walked on this site in Woodlawn, he gave me my first carpenter, drywaller, and then I had some guys that knew plumbing, knew electric, and things like that. And I hook by crook, I got it done.
Okay, so I've bought and sold a lot of real estate, and what I'm hearing here is though, a bunch of, oh, you can't do that, or oh, they won't do that, and oh yeah, you can't find that, and you're but guess what?
No,
I didn't know I couldn't do any of that, so I did it.
No, so again, my parents, right?
Yeah.
It was I literally, I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
All
It
this,
took us this long to buy a home. Who do you think you are?
Nothing positive.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You're wasting your time.
Yeah,
You've been doing this for a whole year now.
It was insulting.
Yeah.
Right. It was actually
Yeah.
insulting because at the time, that first year of fact finding, I literally I scraped my whole life. Meaning like I was back then I had like hip hop clothes on. I remember throwing all that in the basement, and then going to Brooks Brothers and buying the collared shirts that you can, the ones that you don't have to keep ironing, right? And I wore that to death.
Wow.
I would.
All you need is a couple of them.
So I remember if you put the detergent in the cup and you put the color in the cup, the sleeve in the cup, wash it, it looks new. So I did that. I mean, I wore the heck out of that.
Yeah.
And then I went to Banana Republic, got a sport jacket.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then some
So you were
loafers.
styling.
No,
As much
it was
as you needed to.
as much as I needed to, right? like to this, I seen that jacket had whole
Yeah.
it was.
But back then it worked though.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah,
It worked, and
Yeah.
it still will work, right?
Mhm.
But what you hear me saying is, so I did that first one, and I was like, all right, well,
How quick did you turn it around?
it was like a 4.5, 5 month process.
And how much did you leave with in your pocket?
So I spent like 35 construction, got another 28, 30 out the deal. But what you hear me saying, it taught me the business model. So, and I still think in terms of business model. So, a lot of folks just try to find a deal. I try to mimic the same thing over and over. So that
You were
deal-
learning. That was your education, and you got paid for it.
Yeah, and then I was still in class, and teachers, the ones that gave me some grace, were like, you listen to jazz music, and I hear it in your earphones. You're on the phone all the time, and then you're still, cutting.
Cutting deals.
Yeah, what are you doing? And I was like, I got to figure out how to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you, Michael, you were an ambitious guy, though. I mean, that doesn't sound like a typical college student. You know what I mean? So you were ambitious. You had a bigger thought for yourself than what most people are going for. And every time you do that, I read something. The best way to avoid criticism: do nothing, be nothing, say nothing. As soon as you start to try to be someone, do something, or say something, you're gonna get knocked down.
And that's a good. I got my own one, right? So growing up, I was a husky kid, right? And then I started. I don't know if you guys remember, like ESPN used to have like this workout lady would work out every single day. So I started running.
Okay.
Right. So I went from husky to thin.
All right.
And I started doing cross country and track in high school.
All right.
So then I get to college, I start lifting weights. So I got big. I was like 210 pounds,
Wow.
throwing up 350, all that nonsense that kills your joints, right? Then life hit. You started business. So I got relatively chubby, not fat, like swole fat. And then it's like, in the last 4 or 5 years, I slimmed back down. All those phases, you still have something that's saying something. Negative.
Yeah.
Right.
So look at
whatever
you.
you are,
It
So
didn't
into
matter.
yourself.
It didn't matter.
You're too skinny.
Yeah.
You're too big.
Yeah.
Why you lifting all that weight? Why ain't you lifting weights? Did you run today? If you run, you're gonna hurt your knees.
Right. So whatever you do, it's gonna be something.
That's great.
So at a certain point, I was like,
Whatever.
I quit.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
it's, okay, you're too fat. Okay, you're too thin. Okay, why do you not eat?
What a lumpkin.
sweets?
Look at the muscle bound fool.
Yeah. So I can't walk outside with my shirt off, but you can. It's like, so I quit.
Yeah.
I quit.
Don't even listen to it anymore, right? It's
one
like
after
white
the other.
noise.
It's one
Yeah.
after the other.
That's the whole thing. And you read this being self-motivated and not worried about whatever everybody else is doing because you
Whatever you do,
got to be
something.
your best self for you. And
That's it.
and if you just focus on that, that's going to be the most direct path to your own success.
Right.
Yeah.
But those were like those social lessons, just dealing with people, good or bad.
Separating yourself from the pack.
Well, that's natural. That I believe that you can't do that. And what I mean by that is, what you hear from 19 to about 32 was me. Bull in the china shop. That works until it doesn't work. So then you got to start learning how to put a leadership hat on and incorporating others to do things for you, so you can build
Bring
an
a team
organization.
together.
Right. So I was the one financing deals, being project manager, construction manager, everything. And it was like, when I remember being 27, 28, I would have, 7-figure book of business, in a book bag and a checkbook, and driving around and figuring it out. And then somebody asked me, when are you going to be a project manager? I was like, what do they do?
Yeah, it's like 25% of your job.
So what did they do, right? And then it took, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago because we get older.
Yep.
Like, I used to wake up 4:30 in the morning, 5. That's hard now. That's very difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you don't have to, why do it, right?
Well, I like it's something about the air. It smells
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But
I'm an
tough.
early riser myself.
Yeah, early for me is
Yeah.
6, 5:45.
Okay.
But but anyway, so it took pain and just being older and not being able to run around and this and that to figure out, okay, I can manage through this person. I can manage to this person, but I have to make the organization palatable for someone. Because I can work in chaos, I can work in disarray and still get to the finish line. But an employee, that scares them, right? That they want coffee and nice
Structure.
seats and structure and
Plan.
things.
Yeah.
Plan,
Yeah.
right? They want things to they want a office cell phone and a phone and a computer and this software and this and to say, hey, you're doing a great job and this, even when they're not.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job, and they want a ping pong table or this and that, which is I don't mean that pejoratively,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you have to
I get it.
yeah, you have to make
Culture.
you have to create a organization culture so that then you can go out and hunt.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it by myself. So that's what I'm mastering now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going from being a person that's driving the whole thing and doing
Right.
to starting to lead people and delegate and inspire and
Right.
sell a vision to people that are on your team to
Right.
get a common goal done.
Right. Instead of me doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. But there's a period of time in my sales career, I know for Des and I know for you, it sounds like, where there's 4 or 5 years where you really are doing an extraordinary amount of work in a short period of time to get you kind of your master's degree in what you're pursuing. And it sounds to me like you went through that.
so what I call it seasons.
Mhm.
So you're going to have another one of those seasons of getting another master.
Mhm.
So the way we executed deals, 10, 12 years ago,
Mhm.
it won't work today.
Mhm.
Everything's changed from how the city wants to see things,
Mhm.
how
Technology.
trades, technology,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Everything's changed,
Mhm.
right? So what I'm learning now is, and you pointed out, we have all these fantastic ideas and execution points of
Mhm.
doing a deal,
Mhm.
but what I'm learning now, a lot of this is here. You got to have this okay to be able to go out and hunt,
Mhm.
and then come home and be at peace. Go out, do it again. Come home, be at peace. To keep going, and to be able to execute
Mhm.
and to have some peace.
Mhm.
And if, as a younger person, and you can attest to this, being a young bull in the NFL,
Mhm.
you're not the same person. And
Mhm.
what you did then won't work now. Same
Mhm.
everyone
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
And learning how to adapt and really take peace so that you can go out and add value. That's the key to all of this, I
Mhm.
think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's shift to the Woodlawn 100 project, and let's just talk about what turned you on about it, Michael. How'd you catch the vision? And then Des, what really grabbed you about it?
Mhm.
Because was Woodlawn really something, Michael, that you were looking at, or did you guys look at it together, or was it something that you had where you were like, hey, Des, let's talk about this, and then let's go for this?
So it was originally, hey, I have these deals in Woodlawn. How do we really bring people on board and make a bigger impact?
What's happening in Woodlawn right now that you think needs to
You
change?
can't tell everybody that.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I would say this. I think that the Woodlawn neighborhood has a great opportunity to become a work, play, eat community.
Okay.
I'm not sure that that exists on the south side, but there's an opportunity to have above average housing, actually higher end housing that's affordable
Mhm.
for the retail buyer and the rentor, and give above.
Investor or whatever. Yeah.
No, this is a home ownership.
Okay,
We're
home
not- we're
ownership.
not-
You're not dealing. Okay, this is
Yeah.
home ownership.
Yeah, we want to provide housing for home ownership and affordable renters that is naturally occurring.
Okay.
Right.
I love it.
So this is one of the neighborhoods where you can create, again, affordable housing for
Mhm.
both renter and homeowner, and then above average or competitive returns for an investor that wants to invest alongside,
Mm-hmm.
and create an opportunity to create eating opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
play opportunities,
Mhm.
and it's along two major thoroughfares of Lakeshore Drive
Mhm.
and 94.
Mm-hmm. So what turned you on when you saw it, Des?
So, really, I got to go all the way back to early 2020
Mm-hmm.
with the killing of and why is it
George Floyd.
George Floyd, yes.
Mhm.
And it was at that point where, and it's in the middle of a pandemic, got a
Mhm.
lot of time to think, right?
Mhm.
It was at that point that I said, you know what, I want to do something. Like I
Mhm.
want to play a role.
Mhm.
I have this social status that people listen.
Mm-hmm.
How do I take that and do something actionable with it?
Mm-hmm.
And as I started going through all of the areas that I could kind of have some influence, there's a couple areas that stuck out to me that can really kind of pave the way to the equality and equity that we all talk about.
Mhm.
That's education,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also home ownership, and because that home ownership is going to create the opportunity economically
Mm-hmm.
for people that's in deprived areas
Mm.
to start to build better schools, have more opportunity, because we know, which is something that I don't know how we change it, but I think it's so unfair how we all pay taxes,
Mm-hmm.
but for certain things that gives a better opportunity to people, it's localized.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we localize our educational taxes to pay for that opportunity for our schools.
Yes.
it just doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into a neighborhood like Woodlawn, there's not a whole lot of home ownership there.
Mm-hmm.
Where now there's no home ownership, there's less of a tax base, so there's less economic opportunity there to build upon.
Mm.
So if the system
It's
stays,
it's a spiral that goes
If the-
either up or down.
if the system stays like it is, certain places, certain areas always gonna have a head start, so to speak,
Yep.
because they got more opportunity at the beginning of the life to create the mindset, to create the education, to
Mhm.
create whatever needs to be. So now, as they get out into adulthood,
Mhm.
they've been prepared.
Yeah, and even a future for families. I heard a housing statistic that said that the amount of square feet you live in is directly correlated to the number of kids you have. Okay,
Oh, really?
and so now you live in a smaller space. You're like, oh, we don't have room. Oh, we can't afford. Oh, we can't this. We can't that. Let's not even. So it's just the whole next generation is
Right.
impacted, and
Right.
not even there if we can't find a place for them to live that's comfortable,
Right.
that they feel like they can grow into, and that kind of thing.
And think about this too, as you go from generation to generation to generation, the home ownership is one of the primary ways to pass down wealth.
That's right. Yeah, and
And
beat
that-
inflation and all those kind
And
of
that
things.
and that's the beginning, right? That's the beginning of, hey, I have something to go to college with
Mhm.
because we could take out equity
Mhm.
or whatever that may be.
Right.
But as I started thinking about the education and economic parameters of how we make this equal, that's when I learned about his project.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he was telling me, hey, I got these deals, this, that, and the other. And I was also approached by another group who they were looking for projects like this.
Mhm.
And so talking to my group, talking to Michael, it's like, hold on, let's bring
work
all
together.
let's bring all of this together.
Right.
So we just talked with Michael, and Michael said he has all these opportunities and about 100 of them or whatever, and that's how we came up with Woodlawn 100.
Mhm.
And that's how we really became partners in this, because for me, I say this is the opportunity that I've been looking for,
Mhm.
that I can play a role in and feel like I've done something for the cause and the culture
Mhm.
to help in those very two ways that I see are really the things, the biggest two obstacles to making this an equal and equitable society.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why I'm a part of this, and I like to work with the best of the best. Had a chance to look at his background and the things that he's done and he's accomplished. I mean, we heard the story,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I feel like I'm working with the best of the best, and that's why we've been doing this for it seemed like almost a year now.
About a
Yeah,
year.
Mhm.
About a
yeah.
year.
That's excellent. And so, so how far along are you with the project? I know you guys have investors, so you guys have acquired your first properties, right, and are converting them, and
Right. So we closed on one of the first ones.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing about what we're bringing, the one we just closed, the household income is north of $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So what you hear me saying is that is like Lincoln Park
Mm-hmm.
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But this same family can't go and get a good workout within walking distance,
Mhm.
can't get a smoothie,
Mm-hmm.
a cup of coffee within a walking distance. So I think after the first 30 or 40, statistic data, you use that to play the retail part of this,
Totally.
start building that portion of Woodlawn 200, which is the second phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact of there's a major trauma center that was built. It's $150 million. There's University of Chicago,
Employees, workers, teachers, students, whatever.
and there's going to be a national landmark down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
The
a
library,
golf,
right? Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
yeah. And then
Mhm.
there's a
Golf
golf
course.
course.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's an island. It's just it's going to take effort, thought, execution to make this
Mhm.
happen. I think that this time in history is ripe for that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's inspiring. And so, Michael, you were mentioning that also there's another element of your business that really builds in to those that have gotten into trouble, that kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about that.
So even from the start, I would kind of make relationships with younger guys or guys on the blocks that I'm working on, because I can't be there 24 hours a day, and the cost benefit is there. And it's sort of like insurance policy. If you live on a block and I give you a couple bucks to clean up garbage or check on a building,
Treat you like a human, say hello, introduce
exactly,
yourself.
right? Give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
We make a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you look out for my stuff while I'm not there, or this and that, or I can call you and say, hey, did such and such show up yet?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you create a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So you fast forward, I've been doing that in a disorganized way. Recently, I want to say in the last 7 years, we've kind of organized the idea to be able to say, all right, here's 7 to 9 guys in a cohort. Let's give them an opportunity to learn a little bit of every line item. So demo, framing, tug pointing, a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electrical, and then going back to hanging a door, maybe.
So, Michael, you know all this?
So I know when it's done wrong.
Turn on the faucet and the light goes on.
No, I mean, I'm at a point, I can look at the plumbing and
Yeah.
see if it's not.
Or the
not
door's
tied
out of
in.
plumb or whatever.
Like if the drain, waste, and vent is not right, I know.
You've seen a lot.
Yeah, I know if the electric's not properly grounded.
Mm-hmm,
I know what ground bushings. I know, kind of what it is, which is a benefit and a liability, because, a lot of folks, what I've learned on the management side, if you don't know, you know through hiring better people, and in my world, better just means it's more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So going back, so I try to impart a little bit of what I know with these guys to just kind of give them a spark. I'm not saying they're going to be master carpenters, but that's disrespectful to a master carpenter who spent 15, 20 years becoming a master carpenter.
Yeah.
But it should give them the opportunity to say, you know what, I have a steady hand, I can be a painter. And then you say, all right, if you really want to do this, pick up the phone. We do have relationships with some of the unions, and open the door to see can he or she, well, he at this point become one of these trades. And it's worked. It's harder work. Makes a
sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean,
But there's benefits.
yeah. I mean, I think that my whole thing is try to make friends along the way, because I might need you later on for one, and just it's easy to get along with life. Just to, you never know what happens. Serendipity. That guy that you helped 10 years ago might become something else, and hey, I need a favor, right? He might become a city inspector, right? Don't write me up for the weeds today, right? Or something, right?
And there's potential there, right? But having built into people, sometimes you're disappointed, right, on how it turns out.
Well, no, I don't. That's the thing. I don't want
There's no
anything.
condition on it.
I don't want anything in exchange.
Okay.
I don't. Nope. I'm not doing this
Yeah.
to say I helped you.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, I don't get any credit.
Okay. Yep. Thankless.
Yeah, I don't. They don't say, hey, Mike.
This guy turned my life around,
No,
and
I
they're
don't
giving
want-
you a,
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
they don't say, hey,
Yeah.
Mike taught me how to tuck point, or Mike taught me how to hang a door, or Mike taught me how to sweat copper. Nope. I'm not doing it for praise, and
Yeah.
no, that's not what drives me. It's I have the ability to affect change, and I believe I'm put here for a purpose, because again, all the obstacles I've gone through, I should have broken me, right? I don't come from support. Like, go and get it. No, I don't. I come from being beat down and struggle, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want your thank you. Don't even say thank you. Just here you go.
Just do the job,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So you care for your fellow man, though.
Yes. Yeah.
You care for your fellow man, and I think when you care for your fellow man, everything feels less like work, right? Because you have that magic of relationship.
Right. With that in, I always say give folks some favor, right? Like for example, yesterday, I know of a group that takes children from school to home. Because right now, you know, CPS is doing whatever they're doing. Parents are going back to work. They can't transport kids. And one of the parents was just digging into the company owner, like, you know, you need to do X, Y, and Z, this and this and that. And I'm like, give him a little bit of favor, right? He's wrapping up. You know, you don't have a business. You don't know what it's like to own a business. You don't know what it's like have employees, of which in this environment, you have Uber, you have unemployment, pain, you have all these obstacles, and he's still here. He's still face to face. Give him a little favor, right? You know, what is the real problem? Let's get to the real problem. And the real problem is literally, there's a new bus driver and I didn't get to meet him. And
How about that?
my scenario, my solution was call him, go to his house tonight, introduce yourself, so in the morning it'll be done. Oh, I didn't think of that. Right? So my point is, you know, to give
Taking the time to listen a
Yeah,
little
just-
bit,
yeah,
you work it
yeah,
out with them.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
obvious to you is not obvious to everyone.
Because, and again, in the business, everything is cutthroat, this and that. At the end of the day, does it work?
Yeah. And
It's, I think it's we make so many assumptions, right? Instead of asking questions,
Right.
and we'll assume, I don't know the bus driver. They must have did something wrong, so now there's a problem.
Right.
Instead of asking the question, hey, I didn't have a chance to meet the bus driver. Is there a way that I can do that, or was there something that happened that caused
Right.
this not to happen that we could make right?
Right.
Instead of being accusatory
That's
and,
right.
and
That's
making
right.
assumptions.
That's right.
If you just ask the question, and maybe sometimes you may be right, but now you'll have clarity on what the issue really is
Right.
instead of just assuming. I think in our society today, we just make so many assumptions about things instead of just simply asking the question.
Yeah, negative assumption. Everything is the negative.
Right.
Yeah, think the best.
Yeah.
You know, and I love you giving back, because I think both of you being accomplished, you can probably look back at the course of your career, and for sure yours does, because I think you read about it, where someone took the time with you and extended you favor that you didn't deserve, or saw something in you that nobody else saw. So talk a little bit about that from your standpoint, Des.
Yeah. And it's funny, when I wrote the book, I didn't know who did this, but then just a few months later, I found out who did it. And I wrote in the book about when we were without lights, and you know, this was like right when my dad had become a drug addict. We had got kicked out of our apartment. We had to settle down in this other apartment. No refrigerator, no lights. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of anything. And my mom couldn't afford for us to play football, but the coach just said, hey, come bring them out. Somebody paid their tuition or whatnot for me and my brothers. And I've always remembered that, because if I don't play football that year, okay, what happens to the passion for playing football?
You're on the street, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just
anything
don't
can
know.
happen. Yeah.
But somebody took the time to do that. And I never knew who did that, and that was always on my mind. And we talk about people doing, you know, giving you favor and looking at someone and saying, you know what, this family, they're in a tough position right now. They probably knew my dad, knew that he was out, you know, on drugs, and they probably knew how we went from here to now we're over here. But these are good kids.
Right.
So let's make sure that these kids have the ability to play football. And so that's what happened. And I wrote about it in the book, and the book came out April of 2020. I think it was July or August of 2020. I'm talking to my little league coach, Coach Odom, and we're just talking, catching up, and something just says, ask him, because that's the coach that I played for at the time. I was like, Coach, way back when we were young, you know, my dad had got on drugs and all of that, and you know, things wasn't right. Somebody paid for us to play football that year when I was on your team. I was like, was that you, or do you know who did it? And he just started giggling. It's like, in a million years, I would have never thought this question would have ever came up.
Wow.
And he was like, Desmond, yeah, we paid for you and your brothers to play football that year. And I was, you know, just got emotional.
Right.
You know,
It's humbling.
because for all these years now, like I'm 43 at the time, and this probably happened when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yep.
and always having that thought, who did that? You know what? I appreciate that person. And then finding out that it's my first football coach who did that.
That's great.
You know what I'm saying? I wrote about him in the book also, saying he made that experience, because when you're 6, 7 years old, you don't know anything about football. You're just trying to have fun.
Right.
And he made the sport fun for us. And it was because I had so much fun playing that I wanted to keep playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
Fell in
credit,
love with the game.
yeah, so I credited him for that. And I gave him credit for something that he wasn't even named for, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, just like you're saying, give him a little grace.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
you don't know what's going on.
And you had to ask him. He didn't tell you, back
No.
then, I'm the reason.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
made you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never came up.
That's my, yeah. never.
He had heard that I was in town,
Yep.
had gotten my phone number,
Yep.
and just dialed me up, just say he wanted to catch up.
Wow.
That was it. And like he said then, it was like, I didn't do that. And I talked about it in the book.
Yeah.
At the age of 8, you're not doing that because you think that this kid is going to go to the
Right,
NFL.
right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're just
So-
trying to help out.
Exactly. So
But it created a spark, though.
it created a
That's the point.
spark. Two sparks, because he started my football career as my first coach, and like I said, he made it fun. He made it enjoyable for me. And then the second thing, he kept it going, right? But what he created with a whole host of other people, I talked about it at the beginning. Not that I'm obligated to do anything for anybody else, but I want to pay it back for all the people who did for me. Like, I don't know if I told this story in the book or not, but Mrs. Wright, who she just passed last year, was my 3rd grade teacher. And I made and back in those days, it was like E's and G's and S's in elementary school, right? So I made all E's in her class. I was the first one to do all of my multiplication tables, and she was like my best teacher of all time. So that was in the 3rd grade, and that was like right at the time stuff kind of just boom.
What's
just,
hot?
Yeah. And I was in her class doing this whole transition. And I think it was, I might have been 29, maybe 30 years old, and I was doing a golf tournament. And she came in the golf tournament. I hadn't seen her in a while. We talked every now and again, but not like every month or something like that. She just popped in and said, "Hey, I need 5 minutes." Okay. She's like, "I want to present you with an award."
Oh, wow.
So, unannounced, just,
Right.
and she gave this speech. She said, I want y'all to know something. She's like, "I seen something in this kid when he was in my 3rd grade class."
Wow.
And that's why I called every single teacher that he had moving forward and told each one of those teachers to look out for this kid, because this kid has a chance to be special.
Wow.
Now, think about that for a minute. I never really thought about it. Not even then when she said it. It was a few years later when I thought about it. Yeah, I always had a good experience with my teachers. I never had, how you had that bad teacher that you just hated.
Right.
And we all had them.
Right.
Not me. I didn't have that. I didn't have that.
She released the skids.
Yeah. And she said all the way through elementary school, middle school, I talked to his teachers. And she said once he got to high school, I told the high school principal, if this kid doesn't go to college, you're going to be sleeping on the couch for the rest of your life. That was her husband. So I always wonder why, Dr. Wright, took a special interest in me. But just think about that. Just think about all the different teachers that she talked to, and all the different people that she talked to make that transition from one grade to the next grade, what it could be.
That's
I mean,
powerful.
dude, like,
She didn't have to do that.
she didn't have to do that.
Right.
Coach Odom didn't have to do that.
And that was before email.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Cell phones. So she had to
That's
physically
effort.
Yeah.
go and talk to people.
That's effort.
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
effort.
saying?
Yeah.
And that's all going on behind the scenes without me knowing. And when people talk about angels,
Yep.
those are angels at work. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Right.
And so that's why when I do what I do, I have that fire burning inside of me that was lit by other people, and I just want to be able to pay that back to them They never asked me anything, you know.
Right.
But I feel like I owe it to them to continue to do what they did for me.
You're giving them a return on their investment.
Exactly.
I love it. So, as we wrap up, I want to ask you guys. So, maybe there's a salesperson that's starting or an entrepreneur that's watching this. Is there any piece of advice you give them as they begin something new that you wish someone would have told you, or that was important to you when you first began, Michael?
Don't fall in love with the bricks. Yeah. Fall in love with the spreadsheets. Understand your model. Raise as much capital as you possibly can. And then get a group of people around you that can be a legitimate springboard to keep you level set at all times.
So what you're saying is, make sure it's profitable.
Yeah.
Right?
Or
it's so beautiful. It's this and that. I'm going to invest this. I'm going to keep pouring. It's got to look this way. No.
Well, in this day and age, you have these companies that are raising all this money that are not profitable.
Yeah.
So, that's
We have that in real estate now too. They check their whatever spreadsheets at the door and just went, we have a bunch of agents or this and that.
Yeah, I would say, and also, again, don't fall in love with the, just the bricks. Fall in love with the opportunity. If it doesn't work, you got to learn how to cut it and go to the next thing. And you got to,
not too much emotion, right?
Yeah, and also learn how to compartmentalize everything. You have business, like as men or as people in general, right? We have several hats. You're father, you're mother or father, parent. You are a husband or wife. Then you're a businessman. Then you're a friend and all these other things. But you got to figure out how to keep the cups different, because if divorce, that causes all type of havoc, right? And that one trader told me, one of many things traders are very good at is noise canceling. They can still produce, add value. As everything else could be going to hell, unfortunately. But learning how to say, all right,
compartmentalize and show up.
Yeah, and show up, and then ask for help. Right? Like entrepreneurs, we have this idea of we're going to lift. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to lift that building by myself. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Throw you back out.
Yeah. You go. Yeah. No, you're not. Now, Steve, I need your help. Steve, Dad, I need your help. Or you got a guy. No, you got a guy that does this, or a person does that. This and that. Yeah.
Is there? So what about you, Des?
So
That's great, Michael.
and I went into my coaching hat.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that you said, I'm just gonna say it in a different way. You have to take action, right? You can't just sit back and be paralyzed by analysis. Do it. Do something. But then once you do it, hey, let's come back, let's process it, let's analyze it, and let's see how can we make it better. And that's a whole loop. Hey, let's study it, let's do it, let's analyze it. Let's study it, let's do it, let's analyze it.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how you continue to get better, right? And then, like you said, I would say go out and get a coach, right? I don't have to know what you do,
That's right.
but I can help you process. I can help you process your own stuff.
That's right.
And you don't necessarily need a coach. You just need somebody in your life that can help you think through things
That's right.
properly and ask the right questions. Because I feel like a lot of times we react, but we don't think through it. And if we just stop and think and really do a deep dive, we're gonna come out the next time better for doing that. So I mean, basically the same thing you said, but I'm just in a different ball game.
To paint the picture, right? I don't know if there's a show named Billions.
Oh yeah.
Right? So regardless of what they do and how they do it, they have someone that they sit down,
Performance
see the
coach.
woman.
Yeah.
That's real. That's legitimate. Okay, I
Yeah.
got this problem.
I need help.
Yeah,
Help me think through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you really need that.
Yeah.
That's 100% real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not your Uncle Bob or any of that.
No, you need a third party.
Yeah.
With a level of sophistication.
Yeah.
That's not going to just say, oh yeah, good.
And it's not
idea.
about me. It's not about
right.
me. Yeah,
It's not about
It's never about me. It's about Michael.
Yeah.
It's about Steve.
Yeah, you don't.
And I'm trying to help you
Right.
get
Right.
to that next
Right.
level.
He's not asking. Okay, after I help you, I want 20%.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
proper.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a routine in your life, a daily routine that you've come to say, this has to be every day for me?
Yeah. So when things, when things get hectic, right?
Mhm.
You got closings, you got to
Mhm.
prepare for this, and
Mhm.
it just gets hectic.
Mhm.
I tend to make sure I wake up early as possible.
Mhm.
So for me, again, I don't have an alarm clock, so
Mhm.
I'm up at like 5:40. I see 5:45, 6 o'clock.
That's the window.
Yeah, naturally. I see.
Yeah.
I do not touch my phone.
Mhm.
Like then, for a businessman, your cell phone is not your friend because it's problems, fires,
Yeah.
right? I'm actually thinking about getting another cell phone so I can like do social media and be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Without seeing everything that
Yeah,
you missed.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't touch this.
Okay.
I literally sit and think about successes, right? Failures, and then what's next.
How long does that take you?
So I try to do that. So if I'm up, I get ready. Like 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it's like
That's
my
powerful.
version of prayer,
Yeah.
right?
Just looking at it.
Yeah.
And thinking and processing,
Yeah.
digesting.
Right. So because again with Woodlawn 100, that's
Yep.
a big lift.
Yep.
It's been done some places around the country,
Uh-huh.
but it's going to be it's a big lift. It's
Yeah.
not we're not doing fix and flip, so
No.
to speak.
Yeah.
So just
It's a big vision.
preparing this to say, all right, this is what needs to happen
Mhm.
today
Mm-hmm.
or over the next 3 hours.
And are you writing something down, Michael, or are you just sitting there and
So-
just processing?
So I sit down and process it, and then if I need to write it down,
Mm-hmm. There's a few action items that come out of the
Yeah.
distilled.
because if they say so you got to be very careful what you write down
Yeah.
because it has a high probability of actually happening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to be very. A lot of folks write stuff down, and if it's something that you really don't want,
Yeah.
you rip it, burn it. Right,
Yeah.
right, really.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I sit, and then.
That's interesting, because I do, there's a feeling I have that you're co-creating constantly
Mhm.
with the higher power, God, and writing down is a part of creation.
Yeah.
And which is kind of being stolen away from our children because we're digital,
Yeah.
and so there's something about
It's
writing.
different than texting on a note.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
there's
actually
something about
writing
it.
down,
I'm a
yeah.
note card guy where I'm writing stuff down, but I have to distill it and
Right.
read it and go, okay, I
Yeah.
agree with this statement. I'm not just gonna write any
Right.
nonsense.
Right. So then I'll go for a run. I try to do at least 2 miles, 2.5 miles.
Yep. So get active.
Yeah, get active. Or if I'm hurting,
Uh-huh.
like I'm getting old, so
Right.
stuff doesn't move like
Right.
it's supposed
Right.
to. I'll do a walk,
Uh-huh.
and then around 7:45, I have a 15-minute call with my COO,
Okay.
and we talk about what needs to happen.
Check in.
Yeah, cleanup items,
Uh-huh.
this and that. So then around 8:05, I'll hop in the shower, and then if I gotta go to the office or if I gotta sit and do a call,
Mhm.
I'll do that. And my showers, I take cold showers.
Okay.
I try to ice cold showers,
Yeah.
even in the winter.
Wow.
Like last night, I took a warm shower.
Uh-huh.
But every morning it's an ice. Like you gotta just turn it on a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just to get the
a little
pressure.
bit.
Just to get the pressure
Just a
coming
little
out.
bit.
Why? It just brings you alive?
No, because it's painful.
Okay.
If I can get ready for the day, right?
Oh, man.
If I can get through that, I can get through the rest.
You
right?
have taken out all the romanticizing of entrepreneurship.
I
You
know,
know what I mean?
it's
It's
not a-
discipline, it's habits,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
being on top of it. It's not sitting by the pool, making one phone call, everyone doing everything, and the money just rolling in.
And the thing is, with entrepreneurship, you get an opportunity to be around world-class people.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chicago is known for being a world-class town, but
Yes.
it's really the people make it world-class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, sure, like we all know the real,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mhm.
the money, the assets,
Mhm.
the opportunities. That's petroleum jelly. You know what? The gas and the byproduct is petroleum.
Yeah.
That's just that.
Yeah.
But you could look at people and say, you could see, oh, you've been through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teach me.
Yeah.
Right? You can like professional athletics.
Yeah.
You get hurt. The body heals, but it's this.
Yep.
Can I still do X, Y, and Z? So learning that's what entrepreneurship I think is. And I would love to sit by a pool and make a phone call.
Right.
Be done with
Doesn't
it.
work that way though. Yeah, haven't found it.
I have, tell me.
Just can't sit in the Dominican Republic by the ocean and take
Really?
care of that.
Yeah.
Call me back when
Really?
it's done.
Yeah.
Really? I can't have a helicopter and from doing one thing,
Yeah.
helicopter and a Ferrari, just one thing? Why?
You know, Michael, it's interesting that I think about there's probably some 21-year-old kid that you're going to teach how to sweat a pipe that isn't going to even realize the treasure that you are and the potential that you provide in learning and coaching and teaching us. So I pray that people recognize as you interact with them, they recognize the power that you are, because you've got a lot of power.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard
Yeah,
work
a lot
and
of hard
wisdom
work.
and that's it's it's great, and you can only learn it that way. You can't
Yeah,
read it in a
yeah,
book. You
yeah.
can't attend a class.
Yeah.
You
Actions.
have to be in the fire.
Actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually stopped reading a lot of books because it's like, okay, you haven't done what you're saying you're
Right,
doing. So
right.
where are you getting your information from? And I feel like, are you setting me up?
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty soon you become your own living,
Yeah.
living whatever scripture in some ways. It's your truth for sure because
Right,
you're
and then-
living it.
And people make better people. Steel
Yeah.
sharpens steel.
Amen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Des, how about you? Are there some routines?
Similar.
Yeah.
And I almost jumped over there and grabbed my bag just so I could bring out my note cards like you. But yeah, I'm typically waking up in between 5:30, 5:45 every morning. I don't work out every day. I work out 3 to 4 times a week during the weekdays. And just like you, I figure if I can go and put myself through that pain of running and lifting and doing that stuff, the rest of the day is it's cupcake, So I try to get the toughest part of my day out of the way early for that reason, because now the rest of the day is easy. But the one thing that I always do is I always know what are my major things that's coming up for the next day. So before I go to sleep at night, I have a great, not a good idea. I have a great idea of what tomorrow's gonna look like. And then on my note card throughout the day, I'm putting other stuff that I gotta take care of. That's less important. That's not, gonna be money making things for me. Like buy my daughter, she need a new bed. I put that on there.
Yeah.
And things like that. So when I do have those breaks in action during the day, now I could go take care of some of this other stuff. And I probably got a list of 25 things. And like today I woke up, last night I circled, all right, I want to make sure I take care of these 5 things during my
Knock them off the list.
during my spare time in between, all of the major things that I have on the calendar.
Wow, that's great.
So
that's
I just like to know how my day is going to go.
Yeah.
And then, you always got to leave some room for change because, it's not going to go perfectly.
Right.
So, for me, it's just knowing what the next day is going to look like is very key and important for me.
Is there a nighttime routine for you, Michael?
Candidly, I like going to bed early.
Okay.
Like literally 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
I like to watch some YouTube type of
Okay.
things, but
Yeah.
I try to go to bed early. I don't like seeing 11 o'clock. It's just something about that pillow feels better at 8. Right?
I get my best sleep before midnight.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
I go to bed early. I take a shower before bed.
Yeah.
No, I stopped eating around 6:37.
Okay.
I don't take phone calls unless I'm in deal mode and something needs to happen in the morning. But no, I try to, so I ramp, what you hear me saying is like a plane. You ramp up, this is pain,
Yeah.
get through it,
Yeah.
close, and then come back down, land.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it. I try to, when I was younger, it was, 24 hours. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
texting, emailing, 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
So they could,
Doing deals, making business.
Yeah, so that they can see it on the top of
Yeah, I'm doing this.
Right.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
Appearances.
Yeah,
Optics.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's, so, just, what you hear me saying is, if you could, as a business person, you gotta be able to attract other people, and
Yeah.
people get attracted to you by not stressing them out.
Yeah,
So if you can add value to them without stress,
yeah.
you can you can get a lot of
Mhm.
things done. I can say, hey Steve, I got X, Y, and Z, and if the experience was, hey, it was smooth, my blood pressure didn't go up, it was great. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it sounds to me like you're working at a pace that you could do it for a long time. You know what I mean? So as opposed to this urgency, I got to get this over with. I got to get, everyone's trying to get done, So it's like, well, then you don't enjoy what you're doing.
But
You
you
know
gotta
what I mean?
work through your others.
Yeah.
So I'm at a place where it doesn't make sense for me to be a bull in the china shop. I gotta hire that bull, right? And
Yeah.
Because I know how to manage a bull because I was one, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't
Matador.
it doesn't make sense for
Matador, I
me.
love
Right.
it.
It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense for me to every day. It's a process of how to be aggressive through others,
Yeah, that's
right?
awesome.
Right? Because I still want my health, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, Des, I'm gonna have in the show notes where they can get your book and then where they can find you as a speaker. You can be hired as a speaker, as a coach, right? As a personal one-on-one coach as well.
Personal one-on-one coach. Yes.
Okay, and then corporate speaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what all the different things that you do from Des Clark Speaks.
Yeah, so I focus on three key areas, and all of them kind of go together. But leadership, team, personal, and professional development.
Okay.
That's really, when we talked about all those coaches and everything that I've been through in life, that's what I went through.
Yeah, and you're leveraging all of that experience.
All of
They're
that,
getting that. They're
and
getting all that
then
experience.
reading a ton of books that helped me continue to develop new and fresh ideas to bring that to a whole nother level.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And Michael, I'll have your information where people can find out more about the Woodlawn Project or just get involved in other things. And your TED Talk, I didn't know about that, so I'm
Yeah.
going to have a link to that. I'm going to find it. It's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
All right,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Guys, thanks a
Yes.
lot. It's been great. People, not titles, signing off. Have a good day.